Today we're going to look at immunity. So the first thing that we need to ask is, what is immunity? Immunity is the ability of an organism to resist a particular infection or toxin caused by a pathogen. This is achieved with the use of antibodies and sensitized white blood cells. Now, remember that a pathogen is a disease-causing microbe. There is two types of immunity. First one is natural and the second is artificial. So one we do naturally and the other one we have designed. The methods of doing these, or how these can be acquired: natural immunity can be acquired actively or passively, and the same can be said for artificial. And I will explain this now. So let's start with active immunity. Active immunity is attained from birth to defend the body against pathogens. So this is usually you get from your mother and attained from birth. The most common method of active immunity is when a person gets infected with a pathogen. So whenever you get infected with a pathogen, like so, this is a pathogen, and it enters your body, this is how your body defends itself. So first thing that you need to recognize, on the pathogen I have here are green little T shapes. These things are called antigens, and they are proteins unique to that pathogen. Once inside the body, the antigens trigger the immune system to respond. So your body learns to recognize that it is far from these antigens. And what it can do is that white blood cells can produce antibodies, and these antibodies can go and kill the pathogen. Or another process is called phagocytosis, where it treats it, the white blood cells are like Pac-Man and can engulf or eat the pathogen. The benefit of antibodies is that once that these antibodies created, there is always backup within the body. So if this pathogen re-enters, your body is there waiting for it, ready and prepared. So for this reason, this is a long-lasting solution. The second method of acquiring it is passively acquired. So this is usually done by maternal transfer of antibodies, so between mother and child, and it usually is passed along to the baby across the placenta or by breastfeeding or breast milk. This, however, is only short-lasting. As the baby didn't produce these antibodies, it is only short-lasting. The next thing that we need to talk about here is artificial immunity. Artificial immunity is attained by deliberate introduction of a pathogen or antibodies against a pathogen. So you're deliberately placing a pathogen into your body. Okay? And the reason for this is, first of all, we'll have a look at an actively acquired. An example here is vaccines. So you have many different vaccines: MMR, influenza, yellow fever, and typhoid. And in a vaccine, you have microbes or pathogens in it. These pathogens are live, weakened, or dead versions. So when you inject these weakened or dead versions of the pathogen, this triggers antibody production, just like the previous one. And therefore, it lasts a long time. Your body builds up antibodies for it, and they will remain again in the bloodstream. This is usually slow acting because it'll take your body a little while to recognize and build antibodies for this. However, it does last a long time. An example of this is yellow fever, and this is actually lifelong. The next one that we can talk about is passively acquired artificial immunity. And this is the transfer of antibodies, an antiserum, antitoxins, or against a pathogen. And the best example here is a tetanus shot. So if you get a rusty nail and you get it stuck in your foot, you'll usually have to go to the doctor and get a tetanus shot. Okay? And that's because these tetanus shots have antibodies to kill pathogens quickly. Okay? It is a short-lasting solution, but it does help solve the problem. Okay?